Hey gang, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Stud Pack Dream House Build. It's just me and the boys DIYing our very first house build, and we're putting the whole thing on YouTube. And today's a very special day for us because today is window install day. We've been waiting for them for weeks, and Jordan picked out an awesome window. They're gonna look great and they're gonna perform even better. We can't wait to put them in the walls and get the inside of the building dried in. In fact, they just were delivered this morning, and I think Rad's coming up the stairs with one right now.
We got a window delivery for Stud Package, I think it's called.
Stud Package? You're not Rad. What are you doing here? Dude.
You know, I heard that you guys were installing some windows, and I like to rent out of windows, Paul.
You love them, don't you?
I do,
So,
I do.
Thanks for coming. We got Mr. Building Science himself, Matt Reisinger, to help us out with our very first window on the Stud Pack house.
Let's get going. You guys do that? Cool. I think I just did my thing.
All right, guys, here is our Pella Impervia window. And Matt, have you caught your breath after bringing this up the stairs, buddy?
You know, I'm bringing windows upstairs all day long,
All
every
the
day
time?
on my jobs,
You're
for
good?
sure.
So, guys, if you're not familiar with Pella windows, just know that they're an awesome company. This was made in the good old USA in Iowa. Love that. And Impervia is their fiberglass line. We're going to get into why we chose fiberglass and why it's important on our build here in just a minute. This is a fixed window. You love those, right?
I love fixed.
It doesn't operate, right? How many times in Texas have you ever opened your window? I never do. It's too hot
About
here.
once a year.
One day a year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so this thing is pretty light based on the size of it and the fact that it's got 2 panes of glass. Now this window looks awesome wrapped in plastic and cardboard, so I can't wait to see what it looks like when we unwrap it. And this one's gonna be pretty straightforward. It goes right here. You got your knife?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
You ready?
Yep.
A little unboxing video. Everybody likes a good unboxing video. Be careful you don't scratch it though, right?
Yeah.
You'll notice that I'm not doing that on the frame. I'm doing it here at the
flange?
The flange, because if we scratch the flange, who cares? Oh, this is a nice looking window. I like that fiberglass. Black. Well wrapped too, I gotta say. I'll give Pella some kudos. Look how nicely they protected that nailing flange with that fat cardboard. And they've also pre-taped that flange right here just to make sure nothing gets through there.
Yeah, and in my
way to go, Pella.
In my experience, this is what gets damaged right here, this corner.
Yeah, for sure. I also like that this isn't a split corner. Some manufacturers have split corners. This is a much nicer corner. I like that a lot.
That thing is freaking awesome.
Why don't we just throw it in there and make sure it fits? Make sure the framers did their job.
Yeah. You know who framed this house? I don't know, man. I'm a little worried about the frame job here.
Stud Pack framed it. Oh man, this is like, man, I hope this fits. This will be bad if this doesn't go in, Matt.
We didn't pre-check, did we? Oh, like butter.
What?
Perfect.
Hey, can you hear us?
Yeah, that's nice. You know, the nice thing about fixed too, Paul, is when you install these, we're not worried about getting it perfectly square because you're never worried about that double hung maybe not working correctly. Makes it a little bit easier in install. Plus a fixed window, we never have to worry about air leakage.
Well, tell you what, why don't I hold this here and you go around with Jordan the other side and y'all get into all the tech and the nerdy geek stuff about this label that is required on these windows.
All right, so for my nerd friends out there, you guys know this already if you're Build Show fans, but we've got two things that we want to point out on this label. U factor is 0.28 and U factor is inverse of R value, right? So let me grab my phone here. On your phone, grab your calculator when you see U factor. We're gonna say 1 divided by 0.28. That's the inverse. So the R value of this window is 3.5.
Is that good?
3.5 is excellent for the south. If you were in the north, you'll actually look and see where it's certified here. This is a southern certified window. I do like triple glaze when we get up north, but this window is better than code. I believe code for climate zone 2, where we are, is 0.32, so closer to an R3. But remember, windows are always less insulative than our wall. Right here is gonna be R15. So we do wanna limit the amount of glass on our projects because that is where the BTUs are going out.
And sorry to interrupt, you said 0.32, so that's a bigger number, but that means it is less, has a lower R value.
Right, sorry. The lower the better on U factor.
Right.
It's more insulative. And then solar heat gain coefficient, 0.22. What that means is if we take that times 100, that means that only 22% of the sun's heat is coming through the glass, but 78% of the sun's heat is getting rejected by this low E 366, Sun Defense low E glass. And I do have to mention that I like fiberglass. I'm not a vinyl window fan, so I'm really glad to see that Jordan spent the money on fiberglass. A little bit more expensive, Paul, totally worth the money, and especially black. When that Texas heat's gonna hit this window, it's not gonna wanna move on us because it's fiberglass, it's stiff. It's literally glass fibers that have been epoxied together. This is a strong window, and when was the last time you heard about a boat rotting? They never do because they're made for the water. Same with fiberglass. Great choice, Paul.
Yeah, you knew all that, right? You could have said that.
Absolutely.
But you just let mention it.
I want to make sure Matt knew his stuff too.
I'm just, your fans, I know all this nerdery. How about we install this window?
Awesome. I got everything right here. It doesn't take that many materials or that many tools. Let's get it done.
Okay, let's go.
All right, guys, we have our window unwrapped, brought it outside, test fit was awesome, but check out this fiberglass. It does have a little bit of a texture to it, and at first, Jordan didn't really like that, did you, Jordan?
I didn't.
You thought it was going to be smooth, but you know what? I like it. This house is going to have many textures. We're not going to just do flat drywall everywhere painted. We're going to go crazy on a lot of the textures, and I think this is just going to add another layer, another detail that you're going to love in the end.
Well, one of the reasons I fell in love with it was because of the performance. The fiberglass is so important for this installation, and when I understood the benefits of the material, it made me fall in love with it naturally, instead of just going based off of aesthetics, which could be a mistake.
Yeah, and I guess there's lots of areas in a house where you could go cheap, but windows, definitely not one of them. You're going to end up regretting that decision.
No, you spent a lot of money on this project. A window that's going to be there for a long time is worth spending money on.
Well, speaking of a lot of money, we spent a lot of money building this deck so you wouldn't fall off
I
when we're
appreciate
building
that.
it, and we built a railing so you wouldn't like, oops, there goes Paul.
I wasn't about to install this off a ladder, I got to tell you.
And window installation is pretty straightforward, right?
Yep.
You don't need many tools or many supplies. So we have some composite shims here, obviously a tape measure, a level. We got our Lexel, some screws, our gun, and we're gonna tape it with some zip. Y'all ready to go?
Let's go.
All right, let's get it.
All right, Paul, we're gonna caulk 3 sides of this frame. And some people like to caulk the rough opening. Some people actually like to caulk the window flange. What are you gonna do, or what's your preference?
I'm probably gonna caulk it here. I've done the flanges before, and sometimes you have to, because if your flange is just catching the wood, and you put your bead of caulk way back here, you're gonna miss.
But your framer did a great job on this
They
rough
did a great
opening.
job. And I'm gonna grab the window by the flange and stick it in there, so I don't want the Lexel all over my hands.
Okay, good
So
deal.
we're
And I
gonna
noticed you chose the Lexel, which is a great choice on a rainy day.
Yep.
Because that's a solvent-based product, unaffected by the water.
Correct. So I typically use my finger as a guide. See I have my finger right there, and I get a nice straight line. I'll just ride up the edge of the window, get my bead started.
While you're doing that, Paul, I want to point out you're not putting a bead at the sill.
Correct.
And that's because if water were to get past this window for whatever reason, we want to make sure that that water has a path to get out. And so we're going to shim the window up on that sill, that rough opening sill. And you guys did a beautiful job of getting a nice zip stretch tape sill. So that sill is totally waterproof. You also brought your air barrier with your zip into the inside, as well as the waterproofing by running zip on your rough opening. And you guys had to do a little math on that too, didn't you, Paul?
We did. You know, putting a window in and not having it fit has got to be one of the most frustrating experiences for a remodeler or a builder. Because now you're tearing out jack studs, you're replacing them, and it just ruins your whole day.
Yeah, that's for sure. Nice job on that. 2/3 of a tube for one window. That's perfect.
That's perfect. And then we are going to air seal the inside. This is our water barrier. Now we're going to air seal on the inside.
That's right. Okay. So you
All
got
right.
your shims ready to go. You want me to be the muscle, or are you going to do it? I got
You got
at least 10
Let's do it
years
to-
on you, Paul.
Let's do it together.
I'm at least 10 years older, aren't I?
Yep, let's pull these back a little bit.
Okay. You're also going to notice that Paul protected that bottom flange as we're working on it by leaving the cardboard from Pella on there. Nice job, Pella, in shipping that. And then he's putting shims down, so this window is going to be shimmed up off the rough opening so we can get a proper air and water barrier at the back side of the window.
All right, why don't we lift together?
Okay.
I'll pull the cardboard off.
Okay.
All right, you ready, bud?
Now you're going to notice he's putting that bottom in, right? I'm going to talk through this for your
Yep.
peeps.
On the shims.
And dropping it in. You ready?
Boom, yep.
Push it against.
Now, typically we would check diagonals on an operable window.
Yep.
But we know this is perfect. We did check it off camera, but it's a fixed window. We couldn't even move it if we wanted to, right?
Yeah, I also noticed you put your laser up, which is really nice to use because you've got window, door, window, and I suspect you use the laser, so now when we put the second window in, we can make sure the header height is correct. Your trim's gonna look good, right?
Right.
Not
And
just the level.
I guess if I had to pick one trade, probably be an electrician or a finish carpenter. I like all the casings to line up across the room, so that's why we use the level.
So you're telling me that you're picky? That you're a
very-
bit of a perfectionist?
I'm very picky.
Anybody who's watched the Stud Pack channel knows that these guys are picky and a little bit perfectionistic. Way to go, I love it.
All right, our window's good. It's on our sill, which is also good. We just have to adjust our shims a little bit. Speaking of being picky, we're good here. So we're gonna put a screw in this side. Matt's got that, and then we're gonna raise the other side and dial it in to our laser beam. You got it, Matt?
I got it, you ready? So this
sir.
is the low side, correct? So we can
Correct.
shim up.
Correct.
And so we're dropping a screw in here. I want to mention that these screws are exterior rated and washer headed as well. So that's going to hold nicely on that flange.
Love that squeeze out.
Yeah,
Yep.
great call. So you want to raise it up with the shims and I'll hold it back
Yeah, let's
here
go
on the
inside
side.
and I'll dial that in. Might need a little crowbar or something. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get, maybe you can push up on the top, Red.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
All right.
Now let's check the laser.
That looks really, really good.
That's it. That's it. All right, let's put all the screws on the outside and ready for our next step. Matt, you ready for some more screws, bud?
Yeah, you ready to screw it off?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Every hole in this window gets a screw.
I delivered the windows. I can't believe I got to install them too. Man, this builder's tough to work for. Holy cow. I don't know about this builder. The framer, so perfection oriented. Goodness gracious. It'll be fine, guys. It's close
I don't know.
enough.
I think there's a few more details we could have done, Matt.
I don't know. I think
I
you
love
nailed
it.
them.
I love it. All right, let's put some zip tape on the outside, and we're ready to air seal the inside, and this one is done. All right, Matt, let's talk about this bottom edge of the window. We didn't put Lexel there. We put a few screws in it, and I've seen the detail where guys will actually put a thin shim here to leave a space so any water that gets in there can get out.
Yeah. Now we're raining today on us, but this isn't the final overhang on the house, is it?
Correct. We're going to have a 7-foot roof here, so this window will never see water. So I didn't want to do it here, but we're definitely going to do it on the other side with those 3 massive windows. We'll kick it out just a little bit, put a 16th-inch shim in there.
Yeah.
So any water that happens to get through the window can get out.
It's a great point. Let me make this point too, Paul. These guys are smart builders. They know which windows are going to have a problem and which windows aren't. They've also remodeled enough to know, hey, these windows with a 7-foot overhang, not going to be a problem. But on the front, where you've got a 1-foot overhang and it's kind of far up there, they're going, hey, let's put a head flashing on. Let's go to the nth degree on the install. Let's really make sure that we've done the most bomber, the most bulletproof. Not as big a deal here. We got a great window. It's under great cover.
Yeah. We don't want to make Jordan mad either.
No, we definitely don't.
Cool.
You're building him a good house.
It's starting to rain a little bit more. Let's head inside and air seal this guy.
Okay, let's do it.
Now we're ready to air seal the inside. I'm just going to snap these off, or maybe
I don't think you need to, brother. You can just pull those, right, Paul?
pull them.
Yeah, because you're fully screwed off. You didn't screw through the shims like you might on a side jam install window. So you can just pull those.
So you're saying if I pull these, I don't need them because the window is well supported.
That's right.
All right,
You're
here we
good to
go. Here we go. Nice.
We probably just went straight against the Pella manufacturer's install guide, but I would tell you they're not necessary.
But look at the laser. It doesn't lie. It didn't move at all.
Yeah, you're in good shape.
Now maybe on the big windows, probably going to leave them, right?
Supported for real.
Yeah, that's right. You got a big, heavy window. You're going to want to support it with shims. But this is pretty lightweight.
Yeah, they're going to be two mold together, so we're going to have to support where it's mold together.
Paul, how are you going to air seal these windows?
Toothpaste.
Toothpaste. All right. What kind? Are we using Crest today? What are we using?
Backer rod and big stretch.
Oh, I love it. Fantastic.
Got to use backer rod because so many times you get in here and you're just trying to fill it up and you never do, and you never get a seal on either edge.
That's right.
With the backer rod, we're going to stuff it in there. I've got some that's a little bigger for this side, and we're going to tape this off with some blue tape. Put a bead of big stretch there. Work it in with our finger.
You could also go low expansion foam first and then backer rod. It's a little 6 one way, a half dozen the other. And we're going to caulk continuous all 4 sides, right?
All 4 sides.
Yeah, that's perfect. And that bottom caulking is going to act like a back dam. So if this window were to leak, I'm not worried about it. But if it were, we'd hit that back dam, it would want to run its way out because you got a waterproof sill.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go.
As you can see, I've already started the backer rod installation. That's all it is, guys, and it comes in many different diameters depending on the size of the gap you're trying to fill. And I'm just using my fingers and I'm pushing it back far enough so I get a good bead of the big stretch.
You can also use a flathead
Yep.
in case you have your Build Show branded Matt Reisinger titanium Leatherman with you. You can pull out the flathead screwdriver to push it in as well. That works well.
Did you bring us some of those as gifts?
Dang it, I got called out. I didn't. Here you go, brother. If you need it, you can push in with this too.
Yeah,
That works real well.
Just go behind me and check me.
Yep.
You got big meaty fingers. That's gonna be tough for you.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need help with that, right?
All right.
All right.
But if you don't do this, you're just going to waste sealant or the caulk, whatever you're using. It's just going to go in there. This is
Right.
going to back you up and
Got
give
a
you a.
screwdriver to shove it in with?
Yeah, let's see. Oh, I thought I snagged your knife. Oh, I'm
you go.
trying to steal it. You found it.
I didn't let that get too far from my vision.
All right, guys, our backer rod is in, and I think it's already feeling better in here, right? It's all air sealed now on this
Yeah.
one window.
I like it.
I love it. Now our next step and our final step is to complete the air sealing. We water seal it outside. Now we're going to air seal it inside. I'm going to use big stretch and fill that gap right there. And then when I tool it with my finger, it's going to bond to the zip, bond to the flange. We get a nice bead, and that'll all be covered by our drywall return or our window trim.
Smart. I like it. Oh, so you're going to tape it off too to
I
make
am,
it even better.
because I don't want to get Jordan mad at me again.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just tape off the fiberglass.
You don't want to see Jordan mad. That's bad.
no.
I mean, he gets ballistic sometimes, doesn't he?
Why are you laughing at that?
What? That's not funny?
Did you see him that night in Vegas? Is that why you're
I
saying that?
did, yes. I've seen you guys operate in Vegas. I'm worried.
And actually, putting this tape on might be what takes the longest of the whole window install.
I'm doing what I do best right here, which is narrate and hold a flashlight. That's pretty much, if you've ever seen the Build Show, that's pretty much all I do. I actually don't know how to do any physical work, Paul.
I've seen you install plenty of products on your.
All right, I've done one or two
No,
things,
you
but-
did the. It was some kind of flashing under an exterior masonry wall.
Oh, yeah. I did that at my house, too.
Was it?
Yep. If it's flashing related, I'm in. I like it. I nerd out on flashing.
Home stretch, guys.
There's a man who knows how to use a caulking gun right there.
Yeah, this one's really good. You can buy some cheap ones.
Don't cheap out on your caulking gun.
No, and there are some tricked out ones. This one has all the bells and whistles.
That was pretty nice.
Yep. The caulk gun and the big stretch are from our good friends at Sashco. Big sponsor of our channel. Super appreciate that. Awesome products.
Good people.
And this is where the backer rod comes in. If I didn't have the backer rod, I would just be pushing that in there and I wouldn't get adhesion on our zip or on the flange. Right, bud? Unlike stud pack fashion, I'm going to leave it alone and call it good enough.
Nice, you're learning. Let's go. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, and you see that? That's going to be fine. Like we said, that's going to get covered. Done.
Wow.
Nice job.
Boom. Way to go,
finished?
Paul. You know, you guys should really start making YouTube videos about this.
We've been thinking about it.
I think you
He's been
should.
telling me, but I don't know.
I think you should. I think
Yeah.
your son knows what he's doing.
He's pretty sharp, isn't he?
He's pretty sharp.
All my kids are.
I suspect so. You have 4 kids, don't you, Paul?
Just like you, right?
I'm also a member of the 4 Kiddo Club.
So the interior is all done, but we forgot one critical step on the outside. We are going to put zip tape over our flange right on here, cover the screw heads, everything else. We're going to hold it down to the top of the flange.
Now, is there any rhyme or reason for that, Paul? Like I noticed you didn't start on the head first. Why is that?
A lot of times on this project, well, all the time on this project, you got to think like a raindrop, right?
Oh, smart.
Where's it going to go? So by putting this piece on last, the rain's going to come down, go over this, and drain away from the building.
That's right. Always start low and work your way up.
Yep.
Good call, brother. And you got the roller too, right? We're gonna roll the tape.
Absolutely.
Love it. But you're fine to put it on with hands right here.
Yes.
You could also use, if you have a scraper tool, it can be handy to use a like a Bondo tool right here. Sometimes to get a flatter tape.
And like we said, we got a porch here. This is going to get casing over it.
I'm sure all your people know this, but just for the sake of repeating myself, here's a knife, by the way. The zip tape is an acrylic-based tape. The adhesive is acrylic-based, and the green facer on the zip sheathing is the perfect substrate for the tape. They're engineered to work together. And up in Austin where I am, they have this thing called the University of Texas Durability Lab. I made a video there almost 10 years ago now, where they had zip tape and zip out in the sun, and it had been out at that time for like 5 years. And
What?
besides being a little faded, the tape was still stuck perfectly. And several other house wraps were also on that display that were just shredded by the UV rays. And the zip system tape still stuck perfectly. So I gotta say, when I saw that almost 10 years ago, that really made me say, maybe there is something to the science and the engineering behind this zip system. So when I built my house, I used the zip system as well.
Well, I'm loving it, and I spent most of my remodeling years in Southern California. You probably
Yep.
didn't know that.
So I didn't know that, no.
Yeah. And so most of the windows we changed were traditional stucco.
Oh yeah.
So we had to get in there and chip out the stucco,
Yep.
pull out the aluminum frame window, put it back, and try to reflash it
So hard.
into brittle tar paper behind the stucco, right?
And you're in Houston, I'm in Austin. We get like 35 to 40 inches of rain a year. So we get double the amount of rain. And they're a pretty arid climate in LA. So they got weather going for them when it comes to, here you go, brother.
I'm making a mess.
Oh, you're
I'm going to
good.
get it all over your knife.
You got a little X on there, no big deal. I ain't got anything. So you can't mess around in Houston, especially because every couple years we get a hurricane coming through Houston. You guys weren't here for Harvey, but I was, and it was a disaster
Thank
in
you, sir.
Houston during Harvey. It was absolutely horrible.
Well, some of my earliest memories as a kid in Louisiana, were Hurricane Betsy, Hurricane Camille.
Oh,
I was there for Katrina. They are brutal. Absolutely brutal.
I was in Austin when Katrina hit, and man, it was terrible in Texas too. Obviously not as bad as our friends in Louisiana got it. I love these zip rollers with the typewriter Z on there.
Yep.
That was one of the first things I noticed when I came over, is I saw that you had the Z's going on your flashing tape.
Yeah, and we've never used it with the extension pole on the end, but I imagine that's pretty cool for somewhere that's out of reach.
And the reason why they say it, just for your nerdy friends out there, they want you to roll the tape because the adhesive actually wets into the substrate. They call it wetting when you apply pressure on it, and it's a pressure sensitive adhesive. You see that PSA sometimes. So when we roll that tape, it's wetting that adhesive into the zip, and it forms a chemical bond. And now this has been rolled. It's going to build its adhesive bond over the next 24 hours, and it ain't coming off.
No,
That's really good stuff.
We've learned that.
Yeah, you're going to destroy it to take it off. But it's going to take about 24 hours to fully set up, is what I've heard some of the engineers tell me before. And then after that, you got a really, really tight bond that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and you're probably seeing some pockets. All that is, that's Lexel underneath.
Yep.
Like right here, that's just all Lexel that's squeezed out.
Yeah, the Lexel is a belt and suspenders, right? The tape's
Yep.
doing the heavy lifting. The Lexel is a belt and suspenders if anything were to get by. And then ultimately, if you didn't have a big overhang here, you got to make sure you put a head flashing on here,
Right.
Either over the window or over your trim to kick that water out to the face of the window. That's a textbook install.
Probably the most missed detail, I would say, is a head flashing over the head casing.
100%.
Yeah. All right, that's one down, 7 to go. You brought your overnight bag?
No, actually, I'm driving back to Austin tonight.
What? I thought this was kind of an all-in-one deal. You're
I
doing
thought I
all
just
of them.
came to make a YouTube video. I mean, I humped all the windows up the stairs,
That's
Paul.
true.
I thought
you
that
sure
was my
did.
job.
Well, look, we super appreciate you making the drive and helping us out. It was awesome having you here.
Super fun to hang out with you and your boys, man. You guys are building a great house over here. Really impressed with the details. You know, before I go, how about we make a build show together?
That would be awesome. I would love that.
I think we should do that.
I even got the shirt now, right?
Exactly.
And there's a few more details on this building we'd love to show you that we overlooked today. Would you come back and help us out again?
Heck yeah, we'll come back anytime.
All right, we didn't scare you off?
No, definitely not.
All right, cool. And if somehow you guys aren't familiar with Matt and his work on the Build Show, make sure you check him out. Awesome content over there. We've learned a ton, and so will you, I'm sure.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Thanks
I'm gonna hit the road back to Austin. We'll see y'all later.
All right, guys, it's the next day. Matt's back home, made it safe. But how cool was it having Mr. Reisinger here helping us with the very first window on the stud pack house? I think that's totally awesome. Today we want to get the other window installed by the back porch. There's a few details we'd missed yesterday while we were here with Matt, so we want to go over those with you today. Make sure you stay tuned. Let's get this second window installed right now. second window is already in its opening, and as you can see, we put the blue tape on it already. We actually did it on the floor. We realized it was easier to do this while it's laying flat rather than when it's in the opening. And we did bring it over and cover that little gap right there. That gap got filled up with big stretch on the other one. Doesn't matter because that's gonna get covered by our trim, but we thought it'd be cleaner if we could cover it at the get-go. Now yesterday when we installed that window with Matt, you saw us use screws, but we didn't show you guys what screws we use. So check it out, that's what they are, GRK cabinet screws. Really love these for a few reasons. Torx head, easy to put in. Washer head, which means they're gonna grab that flange really well. And we like using screws because the worst thing you can do, to me, is to use a hammer and you hit the flange or the frame of your window, and then that's a really bad day. Let's go ahead, we're gonna put one in every hole. Not super tight, right? Just until that Lexel squeezes out. Knowing we got a good bond, then we can zip tape it, detail the inside, it's all done. All right, guys, just pushing in the backer rod with a shim. Works great for our caulk. Now, I think backer rod is probably one of the most underused construction materials of all time. Make sure you get some, check it out. Look how nice that looks. Look how great the air sealing is, and it's gonna back up the caulk and save us on caulk instead of filling up that whole thing. Speaking of filling up that whole thing, that's what we used to do, right, with great stuff. And on that window, we didn't insulate it at all. I like not using expandable foam because it just makes a mess, even though we taped it, but you would have to let it harden and then trim it off. But are we air sealed? The outside is water sealed. We know when we put our big stretch here, it's going to be air sealed, but do we need to insulate that gap? That air, I did a search online, what's the R value of air? Well, it's 3.6 per inch. It's about the same as the window. If I stuff insulation in there and it gets wet, it doesn't want to dry out. So I kind of like having just the air void in there. What do you guys think? Yeah? No?
I agree. Yeah, whatever.
It's cool. And again, these windows, shed roof over, they're not going to see any water. But anyway, enough ranting. Let's get the big stretch, caulk that, and this window is almost done. And this is why we put the tape on the ground. Check out that edge. It all gets covered, but you know, you might as well stay clean, right? As long as you can. Make it neat as often as you can. And that just carries into all your other work, right? Sweet.
Nice, Dad.
All right, guys, 2 windows installed on the back of the stud pack garage. Look how epic they look. They look great from the inside and they look awesome from the outside. And not only do they help the building aesthetically, they're helping keeping a lot of the rain out. Check it out over here behind Jordan. We get a lot of rain blowing into the building. Can't wait to get all the windows installed and have this building completely dried in. And one final detail about these 2 windows, yes, they are both tempered glass. We saved that to the end because we know we're gonna get comments, hey, you better make sure your windows are tempered. So if you see that comment, you know that that guy didn't watch the entire video. So now that we have those 2 windows installed, all that's left is the bathroom window, the 3 little ones in the stairway behind me, and these 3 massive ones on the front of the garage. Now we've already seen them at the warehouse. They come in a wooden crate with handles, and we're really stressing out about these 3 windows. They are very heavy and very expensive. Jordan paid $2,300 for each one. And to tell you the truth, guys, I mentioned we were stressing over these, and this is probably gonna be one of the most stressful things we gotta do on this whole build. Lift these windows, get them in without breaking them. So make sure you stay tuned for that video to see how we pull this off. But before you go, we got a question for you. We gotta get a bunch of 5/8 drywall up here. Typically, a boom truck would back up and put the drywall in through the window. But we don't want to have to install 2 windows and then come back and install the last one. We want to get it all done in one shot. So what we're thinking, Can the boom truck, this is the question, can the boom truck back up right here, extend this boom over the roof, and bring the sheets in through our bridge access? We can cut this open, bring the drywall in, and seal it up. This is just temporary, remember, but we want it to be dried in later. I think that's a great idea. Just don't know if that truck can do it. Let us know in the comments if you think they can. So that's gonna be a wrap on this video. Super appreciated Matt and his crew being here. That was totally awesome. But from where we are, your like button is looking a little drafty. Get yourself some backer rod, seal it for us, smash it, subscribe, ring that bell. Check us out on Instagram @StudPackOfficial, and we'll see you right here on our very next video from the Stud Pack Dream Build.